Welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today I want to share a story time about a job that I used to work. I pray that everybody is having a blessed and beautiful, easy, smooth day today. But let me tell you guys about a job that I used to work where there were about 6 of us on a team. Oh, where the manager and the manager's assistant were the absolute worst people to work under. They were the absolute worst two people to work under. You guys, have you guys ever seen the cartoon um, Pinky and the Brain? The Pinky and the Brain or Pinky and the Brain, something like that. It was a cartoon from a long time ago. You know what's so funny? We didn't even watch the Pinky and the Brain, but I knew what that cartoon was, and I kind of knew what it was about. Like the little short, the brain was the brain of the two evil crew. Anyways, look up Pinky and the Brain, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Anyways, once upon a time, I used to work this job where my coworkers were so they were so messy. The managers were messy, and the managers were the lead of the messiness. Like it was so, and it was like a contract job, so it was not a job that I knew I was not going to work for a long time, but I needed it because the hours and the pay were excellent for what I was doing in my life at that time. So I stayed there, and it made it easy to stay there just because I knew it's just a contract job, and it's going to end, at a certain time. So and if it that job, that the hours that I worked that job was so, that was those were the best hours ever, and that pay was like the best pay. And I think they paid high like that because they knew that it was just a contract job. They only needed a certain amount of people for a certain amount of time. But anyways, the manager there, she was absolutely, I don't even want to give her crazy. Crazy would be probably a good thing compared to how she really was. She was just flat out evil. She used to start so much trouble between all of like the co-workers, like the team, us who worked under her. I was so I am still so grateful that in that time I was having like a lot of growth, like for myself, like personal growth, and I could see through so much of the foolishness. Now a lot of the times, like in the beginning, I couldn't tell that she was like the master of like all the um uneasy times. Like she made the workplace very, like she made it be a disgruntled place to work. She was disgruntled, so she made everybody's situation, like she was just so horrible. Let me start to tell you guys some of the stuff that she used to do. When I first started working there, she was the manager, but she had a manager as well. Her manager wanted me to come in early because of my prior experience to work in that job. I had already had other experience working that job, so she wanted me to come in very early, and she gave me like a few extra responsibilities. She was confident that I could get it done, and she told me to come in at a certain time. So her first issue with me, because I didn't have any issues coming in, the manager made my schedule, the top head manager made my schedule, and I didn't have any time, trouble coming in at that early time. But the manager that I was working directly under had a problem with it. She wanted me to come in like 2 or 3 hours after the time that I had been given to like come in early. It was still morning time, but she wanted me to come in like 2 or 3 hours after. So from that moment on, she made it her business to try and give me the roughest work experience ever. She would nitpick, she would try and bully me. She was the worst. She would even try to bully me through other people. She was horrible. She stayed angry and upset at me every single day. And one would think, like looking from the outside in, one would think, why would she be like that when I'm executing whatever it is that I need to get done for that day? I'm doing it with perfection. And I think I was even more on top of it because I knew she was looking for me to fail at something. So it made me work even harder than I probably naturally would have. So, and she would be so upset that I would do my job quickly and efficiently. I was doing my job better than her, and it wasn't even like I was trying to be in competition with her. It was just that I needed to work, and it wasn't like I was trying to prove to her, but I was just determined not to allow her to get in my way or make me lose focus or lose sight of what I was doing, because that job is the job that I needed in that time to pay off certain loans that I had at that time. It was perfect for my son's schedule. that I could get off work and then take him to his games. And just like that job was like the manager, and then the assistant manager under her was literally, he was the kind of person that would listen to anything and do anything that anybody told him to do. He was really, really grimy. He was, honestly, I think that he was not a grimy person, but because he had no spine, he had no backbone and no confidence, anybody could make him do or say anything. He was like a puppet. It was like the strangest thing, because like when I say he was not really like an evil person, you could tell what kind of person he was. He was like, he was just a marshmallow. He was really just a softie. But if somebody said go say this to this person or go do that, he would just do it. And like, oh, that was so unattractive about him. Like, that was just the worst. Like, everyone can push you around. Like, this is, I'm sure that's why she chose him to be her assistant. But she would do things like, if I was using a certain pen, she would make it a problem. Like, I don't want you to use the white pens, you need to use the blue pens, you need to use the black pens. And it didn't matter what color pen that I was using, she would nitpick and try and bully me in the smallest ways to like aggravate my day. But you know what, whoever these kind of things are happening to, never let a person see that is annoying. Just okay, and then use whatever pen, do whatever, like, if as long as it's not interfering with your work, whatever it is. And that is going to backfire. That will make them feel upset that you're not showing that you're disgruntled about something. What are the other things that she used to do? She used to, if I happen to like leave a paper clip just on the desk, that paper clip belongs back in the place where the paper clips belong. And oh no, she wouldn't even start it by saying that. She would just say, who did this? So everyone would be looking around for like who did something that wasn't supposed to be done. That's how she would start off. Who did this? And she would be yelling and like in a frustrated way. And so everyone would be looking around like, who did what? And she was like, was this you? And I'm like, but what is it? Like, I would be nervous, like what is it? And she's like, this paper clip is supposed to be over here, like with the rest of the paper clips. And then it would be like, oh, okay. The other thing that she would do was, we had to have a backup of the work that we would do. Also, we needed hard copies, so we would print it out and put it in these like little file folders. She would try and be so difficult that she would say, I want, when you place the file, these papers in the files, I want it to be centered like in the middle. Imagine there's just a rack that you could set the papers on, where it was like, we called them mailboxes. You could just put your paper in there to show, so she could take it at the end of the day and then do whatever she would put it in her files in her office. But we printed them out. She wanted them centered exactly in the middle of what we call the mailbox, but it was really just a flat tray. You just set paper on it. I didn't say anything about it. I would set it right in the middle. Then she would do, and so she would come and she would look at where I put the paper, and she would see if it was right in the middle, and it would be right in the middle. It doesn't matter how that paper is laying on the tray, it's just on the tray. The tray is narrow. It's about the same width as just the average size piece of paper. It's not much left or right room that you can move it. But she would try to be so extremely difficult, kind of like making somebody shovel snow off the sidewalk with a toothbrush, that kind of thing. Like, she would really try and aggravate so many people on the job. So not so many, it was like there was only a crew of 6, but she would try and aggravate whoever she felt like, whoever she wanted to attack that day. A lot of times it was me, because right from the beginning she was upset that I got to come in early. She didn't want me to come in early, and she didn't have a reason. It's just that she didn't want me to come in early. So for those few months that I worked there, she tried her best to aggravate me, until I'm gonna get to the end of the story time where she didn't even focus on me by the time that job was ending, because she started reaping what she was sowing. Like, all of the heat that she would try to put out on me and like one other lady. There was like me and one other lady that was very efficient with our job. We'd get it done. We were prompt, we were on time, we would just get the job done. Like, that's what we were there for. We came there, we could laugh with each other, we could do our work, she absolutely hated that. And she also hated that if she was saying something bad about somebody else, if we didn't say anything, not agree or disagree, but we're just not saying anything, we're just doing our work, she'd be so upset with us that we didn't chime in to support her in whatever negative or mean or evil thing that she was saying about somebody else. If we were just silently just in our work, that would upset her, because she needed somebody else to chime in and support and say or agree with whatever it was that she was saying. And she was mostly like putting out verbal attacks on other people, and that's not who we are. Like, that's not what we were there for. So we'd just be like doing our work, getting it done. Completely awful. She would come through, she would start trouble with us through other employees. She would say, I don't like this about her, I don't like that about her, and then other employees would even try to attack me and the other lady, like making problems, like, why are you guys getting your work done early, do you have somewhere to go, like making it like a for real problem. Like this, it was like the strangest thing. Like, it was like the demons were rolling through that office. Like, it was I can't even describe how every single day she would try and make our work experience very unpleasant. So at that time I was still growing, and I'm still growing every day, learning and growing, and and hoping that God continues to forgive and guide me and pour his wisdom into me and continue to sharpen my discernment. This is still an everyday thing that I, go through, or I try and, anyways. So as I would get up to pray in the nighttime, when you're a person, sometimes when God takes you through situations, he wants you to do more than what other people are doing. Other people, yes, they pray. Other people, yes, they have different levels of faith and everything. But sometimes when God is putting you under that pressure, he needs you to do more than what everybody else is doing, and more often than what everybody else is doing. So that was the time that I was really getting up and not just praying, but actually feeling what I'm praying, and actually knowing what I'm saying, and actually feeling gratitude, and also talking about worries or concerns that I had in my life at that time. I would tell God, like, this is going on at work, that's going on at work, I really don't understand why, but I would actually say, like, I need you to dispatch your angels on my behalf and handle all this that's going on at work, because I don't know what to do about it but to come to you, because you're my protector, you're my provider. You need to take care of this for me, because I'm not going to argue with people at work, right? So slowly but surely I would start seeing her fall apart. Not fall apart from what was happening at work, but her managers were getting on her head because she was not doing her work in the way that she was supposed to be doing. She started making a lot of mistakes. Even she would be making such big mistakes that even I would catch it, and I would look on the we had a calendar that we worked off of, and I'd be like, are you sure you want me to do this and then this, when I should start this one? Because if I don't start this one, that's not going to be done until like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And then she wouldn't say anything, because she could never acknowledge when she was wrong. She wouldn't say anything. She would just like go and switch it around, reprint it, and put it back up. But like, she wouldn't be like, oh yeah, that makes sense, I made a mistake on that. Or she didn't even have to say I made a mistake. She'd be like, she wouldn't even say like, oh yeah, I don't know what I was thinking, I'll switch it around. A person doesn't have to say, because a lot of people don't say, oh, like, I made a mistake. I wasn't looking for her to say that, but I knew at the times when she was feeling humiliated or embarrassed that she would make these mistakes, and that started happening often. And what happened is she stopped attacking me so much. I wish I could remember all of the little teeny tiny nonsense attacks that she would do. She would just things like, can I organize the table, or like put the computer more to the left side than to the right? Just things that had absolutely nothing to do with nothing, just wanting to bother somebody's day, just bother my day and bother the other lady's day. One day, the other lady, who she was really easy to work with, she got her work done, she came into work, she clocked out when she needed to clock out and leave. One day she came in a minute late, 1 minute, and the manager was like, oh, I thought you weren't coming. Mind you, the other employees that worked there came in late on a regular basis, and the reason why they did that is because they were in her favor. She really never attacked them, and those were the messy employees. You know what, guys, I'm about to look over here because sometimes when I park just to make a video, and I do that a lot of times because I think the sound quality is better and the tripod is not shaking a lot while I'm driving, so that's why I park and make the videos. Sometimes I feel like doing them at home, but then there's the times that I'm just like, I don't feel like you guys hearing the wash machine or the dryer music going just to show me that it's the end of the cycle. But I'm about to look over here. Okay. I park in like random places, but then when a car comes up and pulls up right next to you, and it like, what are y'all over here for? But anyway, so the other employees were like in her favor because they were like really messy, kind of like her. Like, they would do things like start messy gossip kind of lies around the office and then like go to her so she could write. Y'all, oh my god, I got so many write-ups on that job just from other, like, my coworkers there. Remember, there's only 6 of us that would go and lie to her straight. Just go there and lie, and she would write me up. But with the write-ups, they were so petty. I knew I was confident. I knew because of how well I did my work, like was making no mistakes in what I was doing, because I would, sometimes double or triple check my work. I had to, because they were out for attack. So I knew there was no way that I would be fired. Also, it was a contract job. I was just very confident, and I didn't get fired from that job. When the job ended, it ended, but they would go and make up the most vicious lies, and then she would like write me up about it just because she wanted me to feel uncomfortable. Nope. I came in right the next day with just the same positive attitude. Good morning. She would never respond and say good morning. She would pretend like she was busy. She would send the assistant manager to come and bark at me first thing in the morning, guys, to come and bark at me. You need to do this and you need to do that. No good morning, no nothing. She would intentionally not answer, but she knew that he was just one of those people that you could just form or make them into anything. Like, I have never in my life met a person like him before, that he was just, I don't know what word to use for him. It was like he was like nothing. Like, you don't have an opinion about anything. And I know a lot of times people don't have an opinion about things because they don't really want to ruffle any feathers. They don't want to make a situation more complicated than it already is. I've been in that space before where you just don't have an opinion. But he is, it's so hard for me to describe how these people were. He was just, if she was mad about something and he was not mad about it, she would complain to him about it, and then he would take on her anger and start mistreating people around the office. This was the worst behavior, and this is full-on adults. These are not teenagers, somebody who's like 19 or maybe even 21. Grown-ups, almost 40, people past their 40s. Now, the one lady who was, I think she was 70 something. She might have been like 74. She was falling apart, like physically, like falling apart just because of her age, and she wasn't able to handle the job well. But you know what was so funny? The reason why she used to attack me and the other lady who's just coming in just to do our work and go home, go about our business, she always felt so threatened by me. And I think maybe it's because I was one of the youngest people on the job. I don't know why she felt like she was going to lose her position to me. But she did not hide. She would always say, I feel like you shouldn't be working here this many hours. This was not supposed to be your schedule. And I'm like, well, you have to take that up with the managers, like, because I'm not going to go and say, she feels like I shouldn't be here, so you guys need to cut my hours. Like, nobody's doing that. So I would tell her, so she would tell me, you're jumping around doing all this work and you have all this high energy. And I'm like, high energy? I think to her it felt like high energy because she was older and she moved slower, although she knew how to do the work. Like, it wasn't like she didn't know how to do it. She was just upset that she felt like I had more energy than her, which I did, but that was just coming along with age. So because I was many years younger than her, like I said, she was 73 or 74, whatever it was, she was in her 70s. So she was relentless with the attacks. So between her, the manager, the assistant manager, and this old lady, between those 3, they gave me the hardest time. Now, there was another girl who worked there who she wanted to win the favor of the managers. So she would go and make up random stories about me, have me written up, because she wanted to win, she didn't want them to be so hard on her, because they attack her too. Especially she used to always sneak and hide and be in her phone with like drama and stuff like that. So she would always go and make up stories about me, and then, and I feel like she was doing that to be in the favor of the managers, but that didn't even work for her because the manager was so messy and so, she was just so, she was an evil person. She would still attack the girl that was even coming and telling, like making up stories to her, like, look, focus on her, attack her, attack her. Because like I said, the manager actually was giving everybody a hard time when she was not feeling, when she was feeling uneasy about something in her personal life. Her attacks against me was literally every day. Her attacks against the other lady every day, and it bothered her when she would see somebody with like a positive attitude. That would bother her so badly that she would make things up like, okay, but you wipe this down, wipe that cabinet down, I see fingerprints are on there. Like she would try, she was abusive. She was abusive is what it was. And so if she felt like you were getting along through your day like in a good way, she would try and do anything to try and make you have an upset day, even if she had to come through that little assistant manager and try and send problems through that little assistant manager. Like some things that just didn't make sense. Don't use this, don't use that. As soon as he wasn't looking, I would just use the proper things that I was supposed to be using, but it was more of a personal preference. I don't want you to look in that direction. Keep your head this way, keep your head like it was. This was a job where we never had team meetings. We never had, if we had team meetings, that's why she never brought up having meetings, because she knew everyone would be like, this is not right, this is not right, we shouldn't be doing this, we shouldn't, you cannot come and just attack us from this is the way you feel, this is not a policy, this is not a rule, this is not the job's rules or policies or laws or anything like that. It would be coming from a personal, just attacks on attacks on attacks, just the littlest things, the littlest things. And in this moment, I don't know why it's slipping my mind. The things that she used to do, the setups that she used to do, just the little, like I was saying, she would yell, who did this? Like somebody actually did something. Everybody would be looking around like, what is it? And it would be nothing. Literally nothing. And just, oh man, she was terrible. So yeah, I just wanted to share that story time. I think the main points of what I wanted to say, I'm almost feeling like I'm forgetting them. What else did she used to do? Oh, there was like a main clock that we used to use. Like you could see it, you could just look up from your time, because we didn't have our cell phones out. And I don't even know if that was a rule or not, because the other girl that I was telling you about, she lived in her cell phone, but she would kind of like hide it. But anyways, she would take the clock down so nobody could see it, to be able to time yourself to and move on right to the next project. Like she would just, if everyone's clocking out to leave, she would start making things up. Hey, did everyone go over there? Did everyone look over there? I want everybody to check back over everything they did. Meanwhile, everyone's trying to walk out of the door, but she would call everybody back in. Did y'all do this? And everyone's like, well, everything's done. She's like, well, check again. Like just to make it frustrating, like now you can't leave the work. She was between him and the assistant, who it almost felt like he didn't have a brain. Like, you don't have a personality, you don't have a brain, you don't have a heart, you don't have anything. And by the way, her assistant would be singing gospel songs every day. You are not connected to not one of these things you're saying. You would not be so evil yourself or allow evil to come through you and start mistreating other people. Like that entire team, the girl who used to just make up stories so I could get written up, that didn't even do anything for her, because when a manager felt like attacking her, she would full on attack her. That's why you can't be a pushover to people who are rude or mean, because if they feel like turning on you, they're still going to turn on you. And I do know that people a lot of times are nice to bullies or rude or mean people, because subconsciously they hope that that person sees, oh, I'm being kind, so let me, oh, like this person's a nice person, let me be nice to them. But that does not work. They'll still mistreat you. That absolutely doesn't work. Even if it worked for a second, that is not permanent, because that is something demonic that is possessing them to even openly just mistreat everybody in the first place. So yeah, I just wanted to share that story time. And I think I'm gonna make 2 more videos. I don't know. Don't take my, don't take my word for it. But I'll see you guys in the next video. I hope you enjoyed that story time. And if you could relate to managers just mistreating the employees that are under them just because they can, or just because they feel like they have the right to, then get in the comment section if you feel led to, or give the video a thumbs up. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next videos.